One's from Chris Reed. This one's really good. This is a Ravens question right here. Why has this team not found an identity yet? It's been 7 weeks, and I still don't know what this team is. And how can we start to get an identity? Because honestly, we need to, and fast. And also, what's the most realistic deal at the deadline if we even make a move? Let's just talk about the identity part. We talk about the trade deadline all the time. We'll probably talk about that on the next podcast recording because that'll be closer to the actual deadline. But Joshua, identity, what's going on?
I mean, what's not going on? You got to think about it. Offense, we finally get running backs back. Even though it's crazy how you get one running back, you get one running back back. He goes down. Then the next one comes back. And the next one had a great game. I mean, Gus Edwards, he literally played like I wouldn't say a man possessed, but he damn sure played like, nothing happened to him. Like, he didn't just miss out on the whole season. And right now, it's like 1 minute where, one minute we're a pass happy team. Next minute, we have King and Drake, looking like Devontae Freeman last year, getting 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's like the Ravens don't know exactly what they want to do. And I think that really falls down to, the coaching style. I feel like, Greg Roman is trying to bring back a nostalgic year of 2019 to this team, and he doesn't have the same team. He doesn't have the same type of tight ends. He doesn't have the same type of offensive line. He doesn't have the same type of running backs, and he doesn't have an inexperienced QB no more that is just relying on his legs. You have a now experienced, seasoned, technically a veteran quarterback that is betting it on himself and wants to prove to the world and to himself and to this organization he can bring home W's and a playoff wins and a Super Bowl using his arm. And right now, we have an incompetent offensive coordinator that is not calling enough plays in order for this offensive scheme to really thrive. So, do I feel like we're going to struggle Thursday and maybe for the rest of the season? Yeah. And everybody they may need to have 911 on speed dial, Thursday night and even the next night game and the game after that, because you have to think about it. We are not playing. We play games. Our games are played in the first half is to win. The game that we play in the second half is like, yeah, we're going to do enough, but not enough. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll move the ball a little bit. We'll take about 3-4 minutes off the clock. All right, guys. Now it's 4th and 8 because the plays that we called, we got my guy sacked, or the run the passing routes still guys bunched together. No type of creativity. You may get a vault play here and there where our quarterback is still being utilized as a running back. Shout out. I mean, even though it was nice, but still, you put my guy in harm's way. Because when you make him a running back, then you're going to try to, cuss and fuss on the sideline. Hey, you can't hit Lamar like that. No. After you done threw the toss to my QB that's not trying to be a running back, that's meant to me. As a defender, yeah, I'm going to go get this guy. Granted, Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney last week, they was cool with, they cool with Lamar. They ain't really, try to apply a lot of pressure with him. They checked on him at every time they got him. If it was another team, they wouldn't have mind. Chris Pratt, when we played against him, when we played against Cincinnati, he literally threw Lamar around. Y'all can't expect those type of calls if y'all going to have your QB still being a running threat type of QB. If it's either you want to let him be in the pocket, you utilize the running backs and let that be the element of surprise of him running the ball like Michael Vick, or you're going to continue wearing him down like y'all did Colin Kaepernick in San Francisco.
Yeah, I think when I look at identity and I look at this team, I think they were lost. I think they started this season and they wanted to be something that I feel like they weren't. They wanted to kind of be pass happy, and they wanted to really throw the ball a lot. And while I fully believe in Lamar Jackson's ability to do that, this roster is not built to throw the ball as much as they were doing, right? The receiving core is decent for what I think they should be doing, but for what they were trying to do, it was like, no, you needed a top 5 wide receiver. If you want to play like the Bengals, you got to have, a Bengals-esque wide receiver core. So you got to go out there and look at what you have and look at your roster. And I think something changed this week, and I think it was very clear. Gus Edwards comes back, and I don't think it's a coincidence whatsoever that they ran the ball 44 times. I think Gus Edwards is so crucial to this team. I think this team is ground and pound. Now, I don't love the fact that they're a true ground and pound, but I feel like that's what they have to do. I feel like that if they can get back to just a pure running team and be successful with it, that's the most important part, because they should have iced out that game. And we would have looked at that game if Justice Hill's not in there on that last drive, the guy who fumbled it. Instead, it's Gus Edwards, guy who never fumbles basically. We look at that game, oh wow, classic 2019 Ravens, where anytime they were in a close game, they get the ball with against the Niners, I want to say they got the ball with 9 minutes left or 6 minutes left, and they just ran the ball up the field, and then Justin Tucker kicked the game-winning field goal. That was against I believe a one-loss Niners team in week 9 or week 10 or something like that. We were able to ice it out because it was just like, hey, let's just run the ball. Let's end it. The ability to say, let's just end this game. It's like fighting, being a boxer, and you're Mike Tyson, you're Floyd Mayweather, and you're the one that has the bell. And you're like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm winning. Ding, ding, ding. Sorry, it's over. That's what the Ravens were able to do in 2019. I think that's what they want to get back to. And when we have Gus and JK, I feel like that mentality that we're going to overpower you with the run game is going to be seen. And then, when they get into situations where they're playing teams and they're really selling out to stop the run, because that hasn't been the goal of playing against the Ravens this year. It's been stop the pass and then you win. With Gus, I think it switches back to now you got to stop the run. And when they're selling out to stop the run, that's what helps the pass. Get back to Ravens football where the run sets up the pass. We saw Lamar throw that deep ball to Duvernay last week, and I think it was only 30 yards or so. But I like that. I was like, wow, we're starting to get Duvernay down the field.
Yeah.
Let's look at when the Ravens have had success under Joe Flacco. What was it? It was pound, 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 play action, and they had multiple guys that could go deep. Sometimes it was Torrey Smith. Sometimes it was Jacoby Jones.
Yeah.
They always had someone that could get down the field, even later in his career, right? Steve Smith could go deep. Mike Wallace could go deep.
Steve Mason.
John Smokey Brown could go deep. They had so many different guys that were going deep. Even the tight ends, throw Mark Andrews down the field. I think they weren't able to do that at the beginning of this year because teams weren't afraid of the run, because the running backs weren't it. The running backs couldn't make you pay. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, when they're both healthy and when they're together, I think the Ravens are going to try and set up, because J.K. Dobbins may come back in, let's say, 6 weeks, week 14.
Yeah.
The Ravens don't want to start week 14 as a ground and pound team, because that only gives you 4 weeks to set your team up for the playoffs. You want to start it now, so when the teams in the playoffs are looking at this Ravens team, they go, okay, they've been just running the ball down people's throats for the last 10 weeks. We need to stop the run. And then they forget that in the first few weeks, they were an air raid offense that was lighting teams up on the offensive side of the ball. So, get them, you got to hit them with a pump fake. Let's show them. Yeah, we've shown, hey, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense, they can be deadly with the pass as long as the run game's working a little bit. Let's get the run game back to being dominant. It doesn't have to be rushing for whatever they were in 2019, 200 yards a game. That was ridiculous. But if they can get back to games like this where it's oh yeah, they had 160 yards on the ground. They should win that. Now, I would hope that they throw the ball more than 16 times doing that.
Yeah.
But if the run game is working, I think they're going to stick to it. I think that's the identity. And we're going to get our defensive linemen back, our edge rushers healthy. And I think that's going to be huge as well. But, I mean, the Ravens, Joshua, I don't know if you know this. Top 5 in sacks.
Stop it.
Really? We got 20 sacks on the year.
And there's week 7?
Week 7.
Hot damn.
I had no idea. I had no idea.
Man?
And we don't even have Tyus Bowser or Ojabo.
Well, are we still top 10 with interceptions or turnovers?
Ooh, I can look that up.
And, I mean, why are you looking that up, man? I'll ask you another question, too.
Yeah.
How do you feel about our recruiting? Because it bothers me to a certain extent, because when you look at certain colleges, let's take Alabama, for instance. We know Alabama is a pro set type of offense. I mean, and they really changed it when they drafted in Bryce Young, and they made things work. But one thing we all knew about Alabama, they was going to get you a running back, whether it was Mark Ingram, whether it was Derrick Henry, whether it was Josh Jacobs, whether it was Kenyon Drake. They had a stable full of running backs. Now, with the Baltimore Ravens, if we know our game, our true identity is going to be ground and pound. No one can ever predict, an injury. But our stable has not been the best in these past couple of years versus how it was previously before. We didn't have guys that can back up. We had the Musa Smiths. We had the Buck Islands. Goodness, the Willis McGahees, the LaRon McClains, Lorenzo Talafaro that came in. Even Bernard Pitts. I think Bernard Pitts was in the era with Ray Rice, and he was behind him. Our second stringers, third string guys back then can still give you 100 yards plus. And, we just bringing it. It's a difference when you can bring a guy in off the street, on defense. They still got the juice. But when you brought in a Le'Veon Bell, name still rings bells. Latavius Murray, name still rings bells. Oh, we're going to bring in Todd Gurley. Shout out to him retiring. Another name that rings bells. But you all know these guys have been on a decline. And when it comes to running backs, they're the ones that take the worst of beatings. Why not really recruit and draft to make sure your stable is good? Because I feel like the best guys that we had were a Tyshawn Williams and Nate McQuarrie. And if you put them behind that offensive line, even today's offensive line, I feel like they could have definitely worked out to a JK or Gus Edwards were fully healthy.
Yeah, I think that comes down to recruit. I think it's not as much recruiting. I think it's development. Because I think the Ravens all the time, they bring in these guys, these undrafted free agents, where it's like, wow, these guys are really good, right? Yeah. They're consistently seeing, wow, the Ravens got the best, undrafted free agent, whether it was them going out and getting who's the safety? I don't know why I'm blanking on the safety's name out of TCU that we have. Armour-Davis Washington. Yeah, thank you. We go out and get these guys, right? Tyshawn Williams, and we get them. And we don't do anything with them. They stay the exact same player. We need to, and that happens with a lot of our draft picks too, where we draft these guys and they don't seem to get any better, right? Miles Boykin was the same guy in year 4 as he was in year 1. Yeah. At least we saw some growth out of Hollywood, but a lot of our draft picks, I think we're not seeing that development. But Joshua, in terms of the stats, I got them up. The Patriots passed the Ravens in the sacks because they played on Monday night. So the Ravens are now 6th, but they still have 20 sacks. Okay. Interceptions, the Ravens are 3rd in interceptions. And remember, we still got Marcus Williams to come back for this defense. So it's like the Ravens are missing all these pieces, and their defense gets so much criticism. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. We're really good in sacks and we're really good in interceptions. Yeah, we're giving up yards. But we're turning the football over. That's huge. I think that's something that the Ravens can hang their hat on is when a team is driving, I don't count us out. there were years with Dean Pease as our defensive coordinator where I was like, a team starts driving the ball, and I'm like, oh no, it's over. Like they got 20 yards on this drive, it's a touchdown, like guaranteed. Whereas, now I think they have so many guys, especially with Marcus Williams healthy, where it's like, oh yeah, they can get Marlon can get a forced fumble or a pick. Marcus Peters can get a pick. Geno Stone, I guess, apparently can force fumbles too now, but he can also get you a pick. Marcus Williams an interception if you need it.
Yeah.
And then we can get sacks somehow. It's like it doesn't seem like we can, but then Justin Houston, had a strip sack. JPP is getting decent pressure. Adafe is getting pressure. I want to say both Adafe and JPP last week were in the top 10 in pass rush win rate.
Ooh, okay.
This last week. Yeah. So it's like we're giving up yards, but we're making plays. It's high risk, high reward type of defense, which, is annoying because it's like you want your defense to be low risk, high reward, right? Yeah. You want to just be the 2000 Ravens defense where it's like, oh yeah, you're going to get no yards. You're going to get a turnover no matter what. But that's rare. The high risk, high reward, you can actually hang your hat on that against these really good teams. When you go up against the Josh Allen, we can get picks. We went up against Joe Burrow. Patrick Queen gets a pick. Like that's the high risk, high reward. But like, yeah, they may be able to drive on you, not consistently, but every once in a while they're going to get good drives on you. But you're also going to force some turnovers. And we've seen that in all of these big games the Ravens have had. They force turnovers. Tua turned the ball over. That's what they call him, right? Tua turned the ball over. Tonga Vailoa.
Yeah.
He turned the ball over, I think, twice or three times. I think he had 2 picks in that game. They might have both been to Marcus Williams, if I'm remembering correctly, but 2 picks in that game. The Ravens are forcing turnovers against good offenses, against good teams. And now they've got their running back that can help seal those games for them. So I think that's the identity, kind of getting back to that topic, is like the identity is big plays on defense with a slow-paced, like end the game, slow style of offense, ground and pound, obviously explosive, but slow, chewing up clock. And then the defense is able to get you that energy by getting those picks. And when you throw a pick and then you don't get the ball back for 8 minutes, that's tough. I think that's what the Ravens got to hang their hat on.
I definitely can see that being, a possible identity thing with the Ravens is just, in this league, you still got to create enough offense in order to, give those guys some rest. Because we done seen if we're, if we go 4th and out, or we turn the ball over trying to go for it on 4th, it hasn't worked out in our favor. And I feel like, we're not doing our defense a service. If they get us the ball, man, we gotta come away with some points. Now, I didn't mind, the fact that I don't mind the fact that if you go for it early in the game, with maybe 9-8 minutes on the clock, I'm fine with that. But it's when the real coaching comes into play, when you're under 5 minutes in the 3rd, 4th quarter, or maybe even, going into, the second quarter, going into the second half. It's like, if we're driving down the field, if it's like 4th and 4, if we're on the opposing team's 20, come on, bro. Let's not force it. Let's go get the points. Let's just go get the 3. Get Justin Tucker out there. We'll fight. We got another half to keep on fighting and get and go for another and get the ball back and go for a touchdown. So I definitely agree with that though.
Yeah. All right, Joshua, do you have anything else you want to talk about this week before the game on Thursday? Because we'll obviously be recording on Friday as well. But anything else you want to talk about?
No, man. Not. I mean, other than the fact that even though Tom Brady, they lost to the Carolina Panthers. I know everybody's saying, well, he's not going to let that happen to Baltimore against Baltimore. Man, listen, we just got to wait for Thursday. Tom Brady's 45 years old. He's fighting for his life, not only on the field, but also in home, too, fighting for his marriage. So, I mean, he got a lot of stuff going on. The Baltimore Ravens going to come out and do their thing, and they're going to play the best game that they played in a long time. And just stay tuned, y'all.
Yeah, I can't wait for this game on Thursday. Make sure everybody to come to the pregame show. and the post-game show as well. But thank you so much for listening. Subscribe for Daily Ravens content. We'll see all of you again next time.